Hey, what's up everyone? Hello and welcome to Behind the Play, a show about basic strategy for a variety of top competitive titles. I am Sam Carlson of Spart1e.com, and this is episode 2, Quake Live, basic strategy for players and spectators. Okay, so let me switch over to the interface thingy. Okay, so let's say you're new to esports and you've been talking to some people, maybe you've been on Reddit, or you've been on some forums or whatever, you maybe listening to a podcast, and someone mentions Quake Live and they say, oh, it's such an amazing game, there's so much strategy and it's so pure and base, these players are just, it's just one-on-one, it's so perfect, you know. And you're like, that's intriguing. I should go check this out. I've heard of Quake before. Isn't it just like a shooter or something? So you load up YouTube, you load up some demos, whatever, and you start watching some matches. And you're watching the pros play, and you're thinking to yourself the whole time, you're like, strategy? Like, what are these people talking about? These are just two guys shooting at each other. I mean, yeah, they're good at shooting and moving around the map, but I mean, it's just reflexes, right? It's twitch reflexes or whatever. This episode is about dispelling that myth. It's about revealing what's really going on behind the scenes, or at least attempting to. You know, I'm not a Quake pro, but I have watched a decent amount of games, and I've seen that argument before. I've heard people say it numerous times, and I wanted to make this episode about that, dispelling that myth. Because there is, if you can understand or at least begin to understand what's going on, it's a really fun game to watch, and it is really cool that it's so kind of basic. It's just two people that are playing mind games. So that is the first goal of this episode, and the second goal applies to all Behind the Plays. It's basically just a chance for me to share a little bit of strategy and get your mind working in maybe a different direction, so that you can load up Quake Live yourself and maybe make some immediate improvements, or maybe you don't play but you want to watch the matches. I'm hoping that you could watch this and start to get a little bit of an idea of what's going on and start to actually get really excited about matches and stuff. Unfortunately, I should mention that Quake Live has kind of died, so there's not a whole lot of matches, but there are some tournaments. I mean, there's still QuakeCon this year. The Good Studio hosts Quake Live matches and stuff here and there. I don't know. There's other tournaments, but they're all really small. Unfortunately, it's not really at the forefront of esports. I don't really know if it ever really was at the front, but it was up there for a while. Before I begin too, I want to mention that at the end of this episode, I am going to summarize everything that I talked about, because I actually just realized I didn't make a summarization slide. So maybe I can work that in later. Otherwise, I'll just summarize what we talked about. So let us move on to how does competitive Quake Live work. And I'm just going to give a quick explanation. It's one-on-one, two pros, just head-to-head. The highest kills wins the match, and it's within a time limit. Generally, I think it's 10 minutes for most of these tournaments. All the maps vary. They're obviously all different, which is, you know, I probably don't even need to say that. But anyway, there's different weapons all over the map. Each one kind of have a different utility. We got the railgun, which is for kind of precise, long-distance shots, high damage. There's rockets, which is kind of like the main damage dealer, does AoE splash damage. There's grenade launcher and a plasma rifle, which are you know, a damage, and also kind of like a CC, if you're familiar with World of Warcraft or MOBAs or something like that. It does kind of like crowd control, yeah, for a single person. But there's also different items. There's a mega health, which gives you like 200 health. There's yellow and red armor, give you armor, mitigate damage. There's ammunition. And then each round begins. You begin with 100 health and a machine gun, and then you get to make your moves and start the game, start the strategy. So let's I'm going to just run this video in the background so you can kind of watch while I talk. Or just tone me out and watch it if you want, whatever. So, okay. I just picked a random match I found. Rapha versus Spart1e, I think? Spart1e. Oh, can I not click out of it? That's going to be a problem. That seems actually really stupid. Okay. I think... Oh, sweet. That's going to work. Okay, cool. That would have actually really sucked. Okay, so anyway, with a lot of FPS games and a lot of basically any game you're playing, a lot of it's about timing and position. And in Quake Live, it's no different. You need to know when and where to be. So when the match first starts, you need to kind of have a game plan, and you can't just run off and just kind of do things randomly. I mean, pros never do that in any game, right? So you need to know, where should I head to? What side of the map do I want to control, more or less? How do I want to gain an advantage over my opponent, and where is he going? And when should I attack? And a lot of it is, like I said, you're trying to figure out how to gain an advantage. So right from the beginning, you're looking like, okay, where did I spawn, and what items should I go for? What side of the map, what part of the map should I control, because it's powerful, right? If you want to control red and certain items, then you'll be over in this section. Especially if you spawn there already, you'll have that advantage to get those items. Of course, it's a trade-off, because if you control this section of the map, your opponent is going to control a different section. But like I said, there's the items, there's the armor, and the mega health, and the weapons. So you're kind of just figuring out how I should control these items. You also need to take into consideration, low ground and high ground. That's very common in many games. If you're above your opponent, I think you always have an advantage, right? So high ground is preferable. That will also factor into your decision about where you want to be on the map, what's considered useful, what's considered powerful. Also open and closed spaces. I mean, if you're at a disadvantage, you probably don't want to be in a closed area unless you're safe or far enough away, because if he uses rockets, he can get splash damage on you, and if he has so much more health, you're just going to lose. So there's all kinds of considerations to take into account in terms of timing and position. For the advantages, the game is kind of all about a constantly shifting advantages and disadvantages. When you start, you're both equal, right? Well, you're kind of both equal, depending where you spawn. I'm not sure if the spawns are like, they figure out like what's equal and stuff. I mean, I'm sure the pros have figured it out in terms of, if I spawn here, this is kind of where I need to be. But basically, you're equal in the grand sense of things. You both have a machine gun, you both have 100 health, and it's go. As you move around the map and you get items, you get weapons and things like that, the way I like to think about it, at least at a very simple sense, is to think about it as like a point system. Every time you pick up weapons, every time you pick up items, you're gaining points. Say you start at 0. Every weapon you pick up, every health more or armor more you get past your initial 100, you could think of it as like you're gaining points. And when you do that for each player, and you're kind of doing this calculation in your head, like, okay, I have a little over 100 health, I have these weapons, I'm in this position, I don't have armor, I'm pretty sure he has yellow, whatever, red's down, we've used that up, mega's down, that guy used up or something. You're basically doing a calculation, like if I add all this up, say I'm at like 100 points, I think he's at about 110 points, 115 points. Well, if that's true, you probably can't just go and attack him, because if he's a professional, he's not going to miss, he's not going to really make a mistake in terms of like an engagement. So that's why you don't see, like, I think when, if you've never really watched Quake Live before, you might watch the pros play and go, why didn't he just go in and kill him? I mean, he could have, like, maybe got him right there. Well, the risk is too high. The trade-off is really bad. Like, it's like this, can you do risks and percentages? It's like 100% risk and only, potential gain of, 30%. I don't know if that actually makes sense. But basically, it's just imbalanced. And you don't want to take that risk, because in Quake Live, when you watch a lot of matches, they tend to snowball. When someone gains a really big advantage, they also generally get a lot of kills. So you can only really afford that to happen if you've either already had the advantage and snowballed, or it's like the first time it's happening. Because if he snowballs like twice in a row, he might be like, it might be like 20-0 or something. But if, you can keep going back and forth like that, I mean, that's just kind of how it works anyway. But just something to think about there. Yeah, so every item, every weapon, positioning, all that stuff, it's this big calculation that you're doing in your head, trying to determine where do I stand against my opponent. Let's see. And yeah, at a professional level, that's what pros are doing. They're doing this calculation. They're determining what that number is, and then so if they're at a disadvantage, the next thing they need to do is they're either avoiding the player because they know they can't win an engagement, so they're moving around the map, trying to avoid them, or they're looking for something to exploit. Probably both, I guess. They're trying to avoid them, but they're also looking for, did my opponent make a mistake? Is he about to make a mistake? Is he gonna mistime something? This is where things like delays come into account. Like a way to regain an advantage or at least level the playing field would be to have the timings in your head, which maybe I should mention timings really quick. Timings are like when you pick up a red armor, a yellow armor, a mega health, anything. It goes onto a timer for it to respawn. So red armor comes back after, whatever, 30 seconds or something like that. So at the pro level, you're in your head, you have to know all these timings. You're saying, I know that he picked up red armor at approximately match time 1:30, which means at the 2-minute mark, red armor's coming back up. And very close to that, maybe a second before or something, mega health's going to be up. Now, he can't go and get both within a second, so you know that he's got to choose one. And that's where delays come in. You know that he's going to get mega health first because that's going to come up the 1 second before, and he's going to try and stop me from stealing red armor from him since he's at the advantage right now. So let me rearrange this in my head. Okay, so you're trying to delay his timing on it. He's going to try and grab mega, but if you got rockets hitting on it, plasma or grenades or something like that, where it slows him down by like just a second or two longer, that's long enough potentially for you to get to red armor before he can grab mega and get to red armor. So what you're basically doing is leveling the playing field. He's already got a bit of an advantage. He picks up mega, he gains a big advantage, but then you mitigate that by grabbing red. Okay? So that's kind of the shift, constantly shifting advantages that are going on. So yeah, that would be delaying and timing. Then you might be presented with situations where you see a professional player kind of just sacrifice himself, and you might be going, how come he did that? He kind of just went in for it, and like it didn't seem like he could win there. Well, sometimes you're in a situation where you need to sacrifice a death on your part to try and level the playing field again. So you choose to leap into a battle, and you already know in your head, you're like, I did the calculation, he's got the advantage, he's going to win, because he's not going to miss his shots, he's not going to screw it up, he's just going to win this firefight. I know that. However, I also know that red armor is down, and I know that mega health is down, which means that he can't immediately regain his advantage if I do enough damage to him. So you choose that opportune moment to go in, get off as many rockets as you can. Well, maybe you hit him with a railgun just prior to get his health down or something like that. That's where, like, if you get a good rail, that might be a really good opportunity for you to go in and sacrifice yourself, but do a ton of damage. You hit him up so good that when you respawn, he could potentially be at a I guess, I don't know if it's exactly a disadvantage, but he's at a disadvantage because he has less health, but he also does have positioning, and he has weapons already and stuff like that. But you're basically leveling the playing field again. You did a lot of damage, yeah, you gave him a kill, but now you have an opportunity to respawn at a better level playing field, maybe even get another kill, or get a kill on him, and then if you do kill him, then you might have an opportunity to go grab mega, go grab red, and then now you have the advantage. Or if you can't get a kill on him, you could delay him again, and he gets mega, you get red, or vice versa. Now it's like a level playing field, you both have health, and you know that if he's getting Mega, he's in a slightly worse position because you can get to this position from Red easier. So you grab Red, he grabs Mega, you get into a better position. Now you have Red plus positioning advantage. He has Mega, but he has a disadvantage for positioning, and now you get the kill because of it. This is basically what's going on in the background of all the Quake Live matches that you're watching. And this is why when you start to like understand what's going on, it's like, ooh, this is kind of exciting because there is so much more than just twitch reflexes. Hopefully I'm getting this across correctly. And it's kind of making sense. In the previous episode with Counter-Strike Global Offensive, I just went in single player by myself, and I like went around the map, and I kind of like that, but I kind of like having this too, so I'm not really sure how I want to do these episodes quite yet. I guess if you have any feedback, let me know. What else do we got here that's worth mentioning? Knowing when to be offensive and defensive. You know, if I guess this is a good one. Leading, like, kind of understanding the thought processes, not only knowing the calculations and you know, when to do things, but also knowing what your opponent's thinking, and that's at a very high level. I know this is basic strategy, but just quickly I want to mention that because it is very interesting. I find it like fascinating when people talk about this. And at the end of the episode, I should note too, I have a recommendation for a pro match where a actual professional player, actually it was rapha. Basically, he goes through all of his thought processes in a match. It's very interesting. I recommend watching it. But okay, so getting inside another player's head. If you have the advantage, and you have a kill advantage. You're up maybe a few kills, right? And the timer's getting close to the end. It's almost the 10-minute mark. There's just a minute left. He's down a few kills. This is like a very simple example of getting inside your opponent's head would be knowing that he knows that he has to make a move within the next, you know, 10 to 20 seconds if he wants a chance at winning this match. You know that now because he has to. He's going to lose if he doesn't do something. So you know that because of that, he's going to be more aggressive. He's going to do something crazy or unexpected. He's going to try and screw you up. He's going to be a little bit more risky because he has to be. So you know he has to engage you, and that's kind of like what I mean when I say when you're trying. Not only are you calculating, but you're determining what's going on inside their own head. What else? Oh, here. Okay, so here's an example from the match that I just mentioned that you should go watch. At the beginning of the match, when you're watching it, Rapha is. Okay, so they both spawned, and they both chose a different side of the match, or the map. And, you know, they have their advantages, and they're, you know, dealing with that. They're going around picking up items, picking up weapons, and Rapha goes into this hallway, and he sees his opponent at the end of, like, way at the end, and his opponent had pre-fired rockets. Now, when you watch this, you're going, okay, Rapha just took 2 rockets. He's now at a disadvantage. But that's not really where it ends. There's actually a secondary advantage that his opponent got that might not be super obvious to people watching. Now, you're like, okay, he's got less health and armor, and Cooler could come in and probably just kill him. Which he doesn't, because you can watch the video and he explains why. But when you watch that, you go, oh, he's at a disadvantage because he's got less health and armor. And your thought process might end there and go, well, that's where it cuts off. That's the end of the strategy. But there is a secondary part that and you start to realize that when you begin to really take into account all the strategy that goes on. And that's that they just picked up all the armor and all the health on the map. Or the mega health and the armor and stuff. So not only did he gain a health and armor advantage over his opponent, Cooler over Rapha, he also gained a timing advantage because he knows that Rapha can't run away and go and regain his health, regain his armor right now. That opens up like another bigger door for Cooler to go and take an advantage, which is interesting. I think that's like really interesting. Like you need to not like continue that line of thought. Keep thinking, like, it's not just about a health armor advantage. It's also about a timing and a position advantage. He's in this, I know he's in this part of the map. I know yellow armor's down. I could trap him in there, or I know he's going to be up on these pillars, or he's going to be down below because that's where the health is. Now I can run in, and I know he's going to be down there. There's so much more you can consider than just what's obvious, what's been presented to you visually or whatever. Okay, so that's that. Hopefully I got that across right. I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about. I got a few other notes here. I guess on an amateur level, when you're playing, and you're obviously not a pro, this is kind of geared for, you know, people who are beginners or whatever. You know, at an amateur level, you might think about the strategy a bit different. You know that your opponents aren't professionals, so they're not going to have the best aim. They're not going to have this deep strategy, so you can exploit that as well. If you know the good strategy and you know your opponent's a noob too, you can exploit that. You can make more riskier plays because you know that he's going to miss. You know, he doesn't have 80% accuracy. He's got 30%. So you can take that into your calculation. You know, the opportunities are more plentiful. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted to say, more or less. So yes, the recommendation that I had for the video that you should watch is you can do a YouTube search for ESL Classics Rapha Cooler, R-A-P-H-A, and then Cooler is C-O-O-L-L-E-R. Otherwise, just check the video description below, and I'll put a link in there as well. So hopefully this was useful to you. Hopefully you kind of realize that, you know, Quake Live's not just about twitch reflexes, but if you take into consideration all the thinking that goes behind it, it's beautiful, really. It's you know, it's two people that they're not really shooting at each other. It's not like about twitch reflexes. That's such a minor part. It's about the mind games. It's about two people at you know, all the complexities kind of move to the side, and it's just two minds going at it, you know. And I find personally, I find that really cool, and I hope that you find that cool too. So, all right, well, thank you very much for watching. I'm planning on having more of these episodes in the future. Hopefully they're useful to people. If you think they're stupid, or there's something you really don't like about it, please leave me some feedback so I can improve them. You know, I enjoy criticism. Like, I don't enjoy it, but I take it to heart. Take it to, well, whatever. Criticism's good. I take it into account, and I will make improvements if something is, you know, not good or whatever. So thank you very much for watching. You can subscribe above. I would be very appreciative. There's the Twitter below me, and check the video description for that pro video. I'm serious. I think you'll be like, whoa. All right, see you.